told my brother, don't worry, like we'll get the sales come in. So there's a trade show that weekend, and I actually went in there and we sold $500,000 in 2 days of work. You can't replace or replicate the grit that my dad put into our bodies and our minds. So I think what's crazy is that when you get in the business, when you don't know anything, we're just talking about upstairs, everybody looks like a 10, right? And then when you start hiring, when you're able to hire more people, now you have somebody to compare it to. I think it's funny, whenever I hear somebody say their succession plan is to build a company that runs by itself, right? I laugh at that.
Welcome back to the Investor Unite podcast, where we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship.
If you are looking to ignite your real estate investing, then join us at Investors Unite.
And on today's episode, we have a huge special guest that, you know, we actually came out here to York, PA, to his office, which is absolutely insane.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So today we have with us the CEO of Inch & Co., Jeff Inch.
Whoa.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Appreciate
So thank you for coming down. I appreciate you guys making the trip down here.
Appreciate you know, coming on the podcast and getting into your story, because you've done so much and you're still young. How old are you?
35.
35. You have a huge development company and property management company. Brokerages and stuff. So I want to dive into everything. I do want to talk about like development and like how someone, if they're brand new, how they could become a developer. But let's start off with like talking about your story. Like, how did you end up getting into the business?
Yeah. So, you know, my third generation builder, my grandpa started a company, you know, 60, 70 years ago whenever he started it. Yeah. And basically trained my dad a lot of construction. And then, so growing up around my dad, my grandpa both had strong construction backgrounds. My grandpa was a single family home builder. And then my dad kind of ventured off a little more into landscape construction, which is how I grew up in the business from a little kid. And so basically growing up, you know, working on all facets of construction, you know, you kind of learn the lingo, you learn how to build different things. And so basically came up through my dad's company when I got to be, going back when I was, you know, young, 11, 12 years old, brother's 13, 14 years old, we got homeschooled. And so we worked full time. Okay. So we would do most of our work during the day. We would do homeschooling at nighttime or play sports, get up and do that again. So since I was 12 years old, I've been working 40, 60 hours a week.
Oh, gee.
So, and playing sports on top of that and doing schoolwork and stuff.
Staying busy.
Yeah, staying busy. It was, you know, my dad was down there at 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting us out of bed and driving us to get stuff done. So, I mean, we were, you know, working on big projects ever since I was 13 years old and kind of understanding a little bit about the construction world. So we did that the whole way up until I was 18 and my brother was 20. We kind of started running my dad's company. I took over sales design. My brother took over more operations. Yeah. And so we continued to grow the company. When I got to be 23 and my brother was 25, we had a little bit different philosophy of my dad in business. So decided to start our own business. Okay. So 23 years old, started our own business.
Yeah. So this wasn't like a hand-me-down business.
It was
kind of started fresh.
Yeah. No, actually, I mean, I found an investor who I said, I need $75,000 to start a business. Yeah. I took all $75,000. I dropped it into equipment and had no money left over. Wow. So I had all this equipment, no sales. I told my brother, don't worry, like we'll get the sales come in. So there's a trade show that weekend. And I actually went in there and we sold $500,000 in 2 days of work.
No, are you kidding me?
And that was the first weekend. And then we just started compounding and growing. Yeah. We grew $3 to $4 million a year. You know, in our first 3 to 4 years. So.
And was that all landscaping to start out with?
So it was a little bit of mixture of both, a little bit of construction, a little bit of landscaping, a little bit of both to be, as we started out that way.
Okay, nice. And I was listening to some of your content from earlier on today, just trying to understand really like how the business got created and everything. And one of the stories that kind of caught my attention, I thought was funny. Your dad, or you, I forget who said it, but you have this quote where it's like, you can't repeat the grit. Yeah. So pretty much what you're explaining was really where you and your brother got your work ethic from was your father. And he was working a full-time job and your mom was also like helping out financially and whatnot, while also still having the construction on the side. So he was just trying to generate as much income as he could for the family.
That's right.
And then it was your mom who actually then kind of pushed him towards like, hey, like just start your own company, like just leave everything behind, because he did end up getting comfortable, correct?
That's right.
And he was like, I don't know, like everything's going well. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was, it was a little bit more difficult for him growing up financially, like just not the most convenient situation to be in. So now he was finally like, no, like I'm doing good. Like, why would I leave this?
Right.
And your mom was like, no, like go start it. So in that process, like he started doing the W-2 job kind of on like a part-time basis. And he would drop you and your brother off in the mornings, go work on the construction, and then eventually come back and join you, pick you guys up, work late into the night. So that's amazing. Do you believe like that work ethic has helped you carry on and like really like as much as you have?
You can't replace or replicate the grit that my dad put into our bodies and our minds. Like my dad had my brother when he was 16 years old. Got married when he was 16. Worked 2 jobs since he was 16. So the grit that he put into us was like his energy level was at an all-time high when he had us when we were 12 years old. Because think about it, he's 38, I'm 12. Like he's at his peak, right? Yeah. So his energy level and the push that he had in us to drive, there wasn't, hey, we want to go play with our friends this weekend. It's like, no, you're working. Like, hey, we want to go do this. No, you're working. It's like a consistent drive. It's sitting in the car every single day and hearing my mom and dad talk about business to church, leaving church, at church, going out to eat with friends. Like the business conversation never stopped. And so we grew up around it. We heard it. We felt it because, when your dad's 30 years old and you're 12, I guess 12, 30 years when you're 12, like your dad's building his business at an age where like you're dang near close to push middle knowledge yourself. You know what I mean?
Right,
so like you're hearing everything that's like aggressive in business and all the, the trials and tribulations of it. You're hearing the good stuff of it. And so it conditions your mind at a young age, like this is what it feels like, rather than if somebody started a business at 25 years old and never went through that, the first thing that punches them out, they'd be like, wow, this is unique. Like, I don't know if I can get through this. Like, everything that came through, early parts of our business, we were so used to it. We were conditioned to it that this is just how life is and business is. And so he essentially created I want to say a monster, but he created people that just like they were born, like pushed us every single day to work. And it's like other people, get tired and we're like ready to go. It's 10 o'clock at night. We're ready to go hard.
Yeah, a lot of people jump into business after the first couple months. They get burnt out. Like they don't see any results coming from their work, and they're just like, no, like I'm done. I can't keep going anymore. But when you grow up in that kind of situation, like work is all you know.
Yeah,
really, whether you're getting paid for it because you're 12 at a time.
Right.
I doubt you're making. I doubt you're making that much. Yeah. So it's nice how you're able to use that.
My dad gave us. I've said this in the podcast. My dad, when I was 12, 13, he said, I'm going to salary you guys. So we're like, this is we're getting a salary. It's like $100 a week. Yeah. And I still remember getting that like cash $100 a week. And so, looking back now, I'm like the guys beside me doing the same exact work, getting paid $500 a week. Back then I'm getting $100 a week. I'm going to hours everybody else is going. But, it's just like, we were so excited to make $100 a weekend. For us, it was like learning at 14 years old, I was buying my own clothes, my own bikes, my own, everything we had. I was buying my own stuff with my own money. Yeah. So everybody tells you like a lot of stuff that you can't replicate. I can't replicate in my kids now. I always talk to my wife, like, how can I put grit into a kid that I was out with my dad working. I'm not. Like, I'm in an office. I'm in a truck. Like, I always feel like I need to go back out into the field and bring him along with me and put that back into him.
Yeah, you can't really replicate that unless you are like performing those actions yourself.
That's right.
That makes sense.
100%.
So jumping ahead to kind of where you just were, you said you and your brother, you're now starting your own company, 23, 25. Yep. So you guys are younger and you use $75,000 of this private money lender's money. This is your whole loan on equipment and you don't have any sales. So you came up with the idea to go to, what was it?
Trade show.
So
we've been trade show for a bunch of years with my dad, and I said, we're going to go in the trade show, win the trade show, build an awesome display. And I did what I did since I was 18 years old, which is sell.
And I was going to ask, did you have any prior experience?
Yeah, I was 16, I was selling. So,
you had your real estate license or no?
No real estate license, just like sales in general, selling construction projects, selling landscape projects. Just what I've born to do is, be out there building relationships with people and closing deals. So
that's impressive. $500,000 worth of sales in 2 days.
2 days
at 23.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was. I did it for 5 years. So to me, it was just like another day going to work. Right. It wasn't like it was a big accomplishment to us. And so we did it. We started doing the work. And so fast forward 2 years later, we purchased my dad's company. We brought all of his employees and all of his equipment on staff here at Inch. And then going even further than that, when I was 23, I had a guy call me up and say, hey, I want a project done at my house. Went over, looked at the project, say, I'll trade you an apartment. And so I ended up doing a project for him for free, and he sold me 1403 Monroe Street. It was the first rental property I had, 23 years old, and I got it essentially for just trading a project. So
that's crazy.
After that, it was just like, we'd buy one house after the other. And so in a 5-year period, no, I'm going to say a 3-year period of time, bought almost 100 single family homes in our portfolio.
Oh, wow.
I purchased a property management company. And so we started growing that. We started a fertilization company, growing that. Purchased a pest control company, started growing that.
Yeah, there's different everything.
Yeah, pest control.
Yeah, so we started buying all these companies and building them. And we eventually sold the fertilization company. We sold the pest control company for pretty good multiples, and then really started focusing more on development, construction, and our property management side of the business.
Can we say, because it's funny, because yesterday with Eric Brewer, we were talking about pest control companies and like businesses, like buying businesses. Yeah. And like how crazy the amount you can make with these types of businesses. So can you say, or can you not say, like how much you made from that?
So I would say, dollar wise, it wasn't a crazy large number. Multiple wise, it was a large.
I was going to ask, like, what was the multiple?
So the multiple was a 3x multiple, which we only owned the business for 8 months, and we had a 3x.
That's
multiple.
good.
That's really good.
The return was very, very good on it. But you learn, you jump into businesses and you buy them, you grow them, and you start to figure out like what's hard to grow and what's not hard to grow, what's hard to find staffing for, what's the best use of your time, and so. At the end of the day, you had to figure that out and say, hey, look, the best use of our time is to not own a pest control company and a fertilization company. Fertilization company still does very well, still a great company. Yeah. And it's called Green Image now, and they do a great job. So, they still fly into the moon, and super excited to watch them continue to grow.
That's awesome. And so you said that you traded that job basically for your first rental property.
That's right.
What kind of inspired you to even create a rental portfolio at all?
Yeah.
Like what made you?
So I think my brother Johnny really was like, high on having a rental portfolio. Growing up, watching your dad and your grandpa work with their back their whole lives and break their back in a construction environment, and really have no residual income. Yeah. It's always, we wake up January 1st, you chase the next dollar, right? And so the next project. Waking up January 1st and have somebody pay you every January 1st is the way it's supposed to be in business. So we just decided, hey, we got the first one. We're like, hey, let's get a second one. And then, you kind of talk to a lot of people like we do, and you start to learn the game of how to scale. And so continue to scale and buy more and add to our portfolio.
Cool. Did you have any like major mentors to help guide you?
So in the real estate world, I would say Eric's probably one of my bigger mentors in the single family home, portfolio. He was a big mentor, taught me a lot about it. Yeah. And so he was awesome. I would say more in like, business-wise too, Bob Kinsley with Kinsley Construction. Yep. He was always growing up. He was my hero. So like, there was like Tiger Woods and some. There's Michael Jordan, and like Bob Kinsley was like
Bob Kinsley.
Yeah, a lot of mine. Like just meeting the guy meant so much to me. He did what we wanted to do in one generation. He built a multi-billion-dollar company. And, from nothing, like he didn't come from anything either, and so he was just a brilliant mind, a hard worker, a great communicator, a great business owner. And really like, that's everything that we wanted to be. Yeah. And so, just being me and that guy, the times that we had and the conversations, like we learned so much from him.
Just know you're like a Bob Kinsley to us. Yeah. It's like we strive to have an office like this one day, have a portfolio like you, these developments. We'd love to venture into that at some point.
And with you building all these businesses, like how did you learn how to manage so many different people, so many different personalities?
Yeah. So I think what's crazy is that when you get in the business, when you don't know anything, we're just talking about upstairs, everybody looks like a 10, right? And then when you start hiring, when you're able to hire more people, now you have somebody to compare it to. Yeah. So you're like, this staff accountant versus this staff accountant, this one's way better. That's what we should be aspiring to get. And I think, over 14, I'm young, but over, the last 15 years of business, especially going back to my dad's days, like I've hired 2,000, 3,000 people, over my career. So I understand now what personalities look like. I understand what the right personality is. Oddly enough, we think that introvertly aggressive people are the best staff to have. They're quiet, they're not out there talking to everybody, but yet they're very aggressive in their heart to get something done. Yeah. So really it's like each position as we fill it, it's like, okay, that's what good looks like. Let's replicate that. Yeah. And then sometimes, it's we're here at 20 million. We want to get to 60 million. What does that org chart look like at 60 million? Does Johnny still have the capacity mentally and the bandwidth to be the leader that he is at 20 million, at 60 million? Sometimes it's no. And sometimes you have to, move on from people. And sometimes people grow with you and they have a large bandwidth and they'll scale right with you. So it's really figuring out what is that and who is good and who's not good.
That's amazing. So something we were talking to Eric about is he makes everybody take a personality test before they come in.
Yeah.
Do you do that as well?
So I think Eric is much better than me at probably like strategizing hiring more than what I do, right? I probably more of like, hey, I like the person. We seem like we mesh well. They seem like to be a good culture fit for our company. And so hire them that way. But what we have, I think, took a big step forward in the last 2 years, really bringing on a leadership consultant to come into our company and really evaluate staff, evaluate personalities, and then really feed back information to us saying, hey, Johnny over here, like he's struggling because of X, Y, and Z, or, if you give this to your staff, we think like they'll be, able to overcome some of the issues that you're coming upon right now and scaling. So I think bringing in third-party consultants is a good idea too, along with just at the end of the day, this is one thing that I think is very important is the team takes on the personality of the coach.
Okay.
And so if they see my brother, Johnny, and myself at 8 o'clock at night in the office working, the team's automatically going to think that that's the expectation.
Right.
The team's going to take on how do you handle opposition? How do you handle obstacles? How do you handle, outside PR issues? How do you handle the stuff? They will take on exactly how you are. Yeah. And so I think, at least at our timeline at 35, like we go hard every day. And I think that the team sees that. And the people that are in this building and the other buildings that we have staff in, I think they all jump on board and they all work their ass off in order to get there.
Yeah. And that's an amazing perspective because you have a lot of these business owners, the bigger entrepreneurs, where their whole mission is kind of automate the business and get themselves out of it, where then the employees don't really have a figure to look up to and kind of replicate off of. So do you think that that's kind of like not a bad idea per se, but definitely not recommended versus having your team be able to see you and your brother in here like all day, every day, just grinding it out? And then,
I think it's funny. Whenever I hear somebody say their succession plan is to build a company that runs by itself,
right?
I laugh at that. I Steve Jobs is on the job, right? Like
Elon Musk
is there every single day, Like these companies are built off of iconic leaders, right? And that is why they are iconic companies in there. When you think of Kinsley, you think of, Bob. When you think of Graham, you think of Don Graham. Like when you think of these iconic companies in Central PA, you think of the owner that built the company and was there until the day he died or was there until the day he sold. And so my version is not to build a company that runs itself. Like I love doing what I'm doing. I don't want to do something else. I love coming to work at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning and grind until 9 o'clock at night. Like I can't think of you could say go to the beach and sit all day and I wouldn't do it. Like I'd rather be here working with my team. So
it's also just how you grew up.
It's how we grew. Like I don't know anything else. I get very, very anxious when I'm not working, and so
that's how
it's like right.
It's like vacation.
You have to. You feel like you get way behind if you don't work every day, right? You feel more stress when you get back from vacation.
It's just unproductive.
It's unproductive. So our goal is never to grow. I think I would say something that we work towards is like putting an iconic leader of each division.
Okay.
So we own Regents Glen. We have a great girl, Lacey, who runs Regents Glen. To me, she's building herself into an iconic leader of that business that the staff can look up to and, know that she's, strong. She's going to do what's best for the company at all times. So I think building iconic leaders in this division. But at the end of the day, like if you're not willing to go there at 9 o'clock at night and mop the floors with them, like you're not going to be a good business owner,
right?
And so I think that's what we're really trying to implement at Inch & Co.
Oh, that's smart.
I want to get into, because we talked about this when you spoke at my meetup and Isaiah's meetup and David as well. But your morning routine, your day-to-day routine.
Yeah.
So can you touch on that?
So I would say part of being an iconic leader for a long duration is keeping yourself in shape and keeping your mind stable. And so, we own 8 companies here and there's almost 400 employees. So, they all call or text me. So during the day, I'll get 200 to 300 unique people texting me, along with 200 phone calls, 1,000 emails. So Andy does a good job of filtering those, but at the end of the day, you have to play at a high level for a very long time.
Right.
And so develop the morning routine, which I'm still developing to this day. I want to continue to find it, but basically, I'm up at 4:45, 5 every morning. I do sauna for 20 minutes, 160 degrees. I do a cold plunge for 4 to 5 minutes. I work out for 45 minutes. I come inside. I do honey. I do amino acids. I do probiotics. I do biotin every single morning at the same time. Usually like around 6:30, I'm trying to get into the office, and then it's, looking over my plan for the day and really attacking it. But where I'm trying to get the company to is, I am not a sit down at a computer and work all day person. A lot of times my job makes me do that, but I love leading by wandering. So I wander into people's offices. I wander to job sites. I wander to not my job sites. I wander to other people's job sites, and I just try to learn, and I try to figure out where we're weak and where it can be stronger at. I'll find out where I can improve at, to make the team at. So, and I think one of the strongest things that I can do as a team is really bring in more talent. So during the day, I spend 25% of my day reviewing resumes or reviewing, people that are outside our company, trying to bring in talent in. So really it's once I get to the office 6:37, I jump into that a little bit. And then from there, usually I have meetings every 45 minutes until usually 5 or 6 at night, throughout the course of the day. It's pretty busy day, stacked. And then usually go home with the kids, try to play with the kids for an hour or two between 6 and 8, and then back on the computer again, working from 8 to 10 or 8 to 9:30, responding to emails, and then do it again. And then Saturdays, kind of the same thing, but a little bit more playtime with the kids. So just spend more time. And then Sundays, do go to church on Sundays. Every Sunday we try to take the family to church. And then really the afternoon, spent working a little bit, playing with the kids. It's a mixture. I hate when people say the work-life balance. That is, if you want to grow a company, there is no balance. And I think it's a blend. So my kids come into the office, I go home for lunch so I can see them for a couple minutes. It's just a complete blend of work-life.
Integrating together.
That's right. It's just integrating it together. And so there is no blend. My employees don't really have a balance either. They're blending it together. So we have a community of that, and we want I want to be around A players. So the hardest thing to do is to build a team, not the product, right? The product's easy. Renovating, so you renovate houses, right? Renovating the house is easy. Finding the right subs to renovate the house is hard. So building a team is hard. So, I think we have a team that is extremely driven, extremely they know the end goal, they know what we want to do. And so they're all behind. And I think that's really what helps my day to day be able to wander and bring in new ideas to the company.
That's extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Now, you said you have 8 companies total. Would you mind just listing those off?
So we have Reed's Glen, which is a country club that we have a golf course at.
Okay. Where's that located?
It's located right over in West York. So it's right by the York Hospital.
Yeah.
And then we have a wedding venue called Box Hill that we have weddings at. It's a large, historic 17,000 square foot mansion that we hold weddings at and other events.
Yeah.
So we have those two. We have the construction company, which is our largest company, builds our development. We have a development company that buys the land, entitles it, and then basically takes it the whole way through construction and then either divests or puts it into a portfolio. Okay. Property management company. We have a landscape company that's pretty large now. It's really growing great. We have a sports agency that we have really dived into this year, and it's an amazing company. And then we have a home service company called Westwood that we're growing our home services division of it. Just tags in a lot with property management, but on the residential ownership side, not on the tenant side.
Okay.
So I've been growing that lately a lot too.
Dude, you're doing it all.
I know. And I know when we spoke last time, you were basically saying how you regret naming everything Inch and Co this, Inch and Co that. Why is that?
So I think we're trying to pull that away. I think that because there's a couple of reasons why. I think when you're known for one thing, that name kind of encompasses everything. So if you're known for Inch and Co Construction, when you put Inch and Co on a property management team, I think you start to take on that personality too out to the outside world, the reputation.
Yeah.
Okay. What they do, people are like, hold on, you do property management and you build buildings, which one are you actually good at?
Right.
So, and the truth is that our property management company is really good at managing properties. We have 5,000 units in that portfolio. And so, I want to make that a standalone company. And Inch & Co, I want to be known as a development construction company. That's it. Like, that's all we do out there. And so we're slowly pulling apart some of the names that are Inchico and really just giving them their own brand, and then keeping Inchico the centerfold at development construction that's Inchico's main lane.
Okay. Do you have a favorite company?
No, I don't.
Is there one that's like,
I
enjoy on these meetings?
I would say it hurt people's feelings now. I would say I really, really enjoy the construction.
Yeah.
You know,
I figured you were going to say that.
If you look at old pictures of us, my grandpa building hhouses, and just going out and meeting, they're like my type of people. Like, I'm like a muddy boots type of person. And so, I jive well with them, and I just love seeing a piece of dirt turn into, a habitable space. And so
something like this.
I love it. Yeah. Building something like this building. So I think it's really cool to be able to be on construction projects, but I love all of them the same.
Nice.
So, now, if someone was looking to get into development, like, what would step 1 be all the way, A to Z, like full on game?
So I think if I was truly serious about to be in development, I would first try to get a job with a development company. Okay. I think you can do, smart people learn from their own mistakes, like intelligent people learn from other people's mistakes. Mm-hmm. And so you can't bypass the system in development. We bypass the system through many years of failed or like hard work. And I think that if you said to me today, Jeff, I want to develop multifamily units, I would say find a solid development company, go on staff, create great value for them. So give a lot of value, but also be a sponge and take everything you can. And then from there, I would start doing small projects. I would start out as a single family home. I would learn, because a single family home and a development of a multifamily, there's a lot of similarities, right? Like, you have stormwater management, you have an E&S plan, you have a land development plan. You're going to have, depending on how big the lot is, MPDS plan. Like, a lot of the stuff that you have in a single family, you're also going to have a development just on a bigger scale. So I would start out there, then duplexes. I'm going to develop a duplex, and then once I get into a fourplex, now I'm in a commercial. So now I'm doing a commercial loan. I'm doing, a larger property, which could entail more development cost. Yeah. And just continue to build my way up. The first development that we ever did was 172 units in Lancaster. Oh, wow. And so I would not suggest doing that. If you could have said this is the wrong development site, we picked it, right? It was an old brownfield. It was, a ton of old buildings on it. We just had to work through like a lot of environmental issues. And so I would say, like, start a lot smaller and continue to build up. Dump it into like a 40 unit, 50 unit build is probably not suggested right away. Yeah. And I would say have a strong capital behind you, right? Like, make sure you line up your capital for the person that's going to be able to inject the equity into the deal. So I would make sure I have that behind me. So I have the equity. I'd make sure that I have a good civil design team together. So, if you connect yourself with a good civil and architectural company that could say, walk you down the road. A lot of times the civil can walk you down the road in the grading of the project, or the stormwater management, or the MPDS. And, if you have a good architectural firm that will walk you down the road on the buildings to build, how to build them efficiently, how you engineer them. Yeah. You kind of get those two together, got to get you, and then obviously you need a good attorney, for some of that land development stuff. So okay. I would say when I'm looking for an architect, if I'm building my first one, don't go with like the shiny person, the big person. I would try to find somebody that does smaller projects. Yeah. Explain to them, hey, look, my first project, I want to build this thing efficiently. I want to build it, value engineer it. Like, don't put, all the bells and whistles. Don't put LVLs where we can just span trusses. Like, there's different ways to save money that way, that I would really try to put together a team and have relationships with these people that they care about your success.
Okay. Nice.
So,
and I noticed, like, right now, we found like a development project and wanting to do like 8 units out in Harrisburg and trying to do it like affordable housing. I've been reaching out to different architects and stuff, and the prices, like
crazy.
Once I got the first quote, it was like $52,000 for an 8 unit. It's like, that's insane.
Yeah, that's average. I mean, some of our architectural quotes are $500,000 to design these buildings. Wow. So, it's when people say, why is rent so high?
It makes sense.
Firsthand, right? Like, they see the wood, but they don't see the soft costs behind you, right? Yeah. Which is all your engineering fees. They don't know that you had to pay rec fees of $3,200 and a sewer tap fee for $12,000 a unit. And like, there's all these auxiliary costs that people don't see, they just see wood and ground.
Right.
But that is why rent is so high. And, you know, if you're really strong in construction, you could probably go with a lesser, you know, architectural firm that maybe not has much firepower. But if you are not strong in construction and multifamily, you should definitely have an architect that could, you know, show you the reins and kind of talk you through it. Yeah. Because you can go sideways real quick in some of those buildings.
And have you done or like dealt with affordable housing at all?
So I have never dealt with affordable housing. We have a project in Camp Hill right now called Senate House. And it's an 83 unit building that was owned by Penn State Health. Was half the building was apartments, half the building was office. We're renovating the whole entire building. That's going to be we call it attainable housing. So it's like it's a couple steps below, you know, your market rate rent. But we don't do any affordable housing. But I think if there is affordable housing in Camp Hill, would be this project. That could really help people. But affordable housing is typically highly subsidized. You know, you need that subsidization in order to build these projects.
Make it work.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Now, let's say that somebody, just a family, wanted to have a custom house built by you guys. They came into the office. What would be like your steps in?
So we no longer build custom homes. We shut that down about 2 years ago. There's a lot easier ways to make money than to build custom homes.
I need y'all to build my house.
So we build them for friends and family, you know, if they need to be built, but we no longer offer that service. It's just that to us is a very hard business to be in. You know, a home that somebody lives in is going to buy is the biggest investment of life. And they're laying there watching TV and it's a little hairline crack in the ceiling and all of a sudden there's a bad Google review and all of a sudden, you know, you're the worst builder in the world because you didn't come back in 2 days and fix the crack. And everybody has their idea of what perfect is. And so they want to pay a certain amount, but perfection costs a little bit more. And so it was such a hard fight that we said, like, there's easier ways to make money. We do develop right now. We're developing almost 600 lots, single family home lots. So we develop, we partner with national builders and they build them and we just basically put all the infrastructure in.
Okay.
So do develop, but don't build.
And have you guys ever thought about getting into like senior living?
So senior living, I don't know anything about it. You know, I would maybe someday that'd be a path we go down. It's obviously very enticing to see the baby boomers and you see the amount of people that are going to need and how underserved. I think 19% in Central PA right now is underserved by senior housing. So there's definitely a need for it. I think there's, like anything else, there's a platform that a lot of large senior housing companies have that where the offerings that they have, the way they build the construction type that we just don't know anything about. So maybe something in the future, but today we're not in that space.
So if this is too uncomfortable, it's okay.
Never be uncomfortable.
Okay.
I love it.
I kind of want to dive into like more of the analytics of your companies. Just kind of have a better understanding of like how much revenue you can expect from growing your company of whatever size.
So drill down a little bit, like when you say, are you asking like how big our company is revenue wise, or are you asking like?
So I'm asking, let's just take one company to start with.
The development.
Construction company.
Let's go that way. There you go.
Construction company. So kind of just like how many employees do you have working? How many projects do you potentially have going on at one time? What is your average revenue on a yearly basis? Something like that.
So the construction company does, I think it'll do like right around 90 million this year. The construction company does 100% Inchco projects. So we currently don't do any third party work. But that is a space that we are aggressively going after right now, is to tap into the third party world. In that business right now, we have about 80 employees in-house and outside the house that work in that side of the business. A lot of we're just mostly a GC or CM on that side. And then we have, our accounting staff, have our field laborers, superintendents that work on the field. So, right around 80 million, 90 million a year currently, about 80 employees. And so, that our target goal is right now we're building 1,000 units under construction. Pipeline's about 2,500. So we'll break ground on 240 units in Charlotte, North Carolina this summer.
I didn't even know you guys were out there.
Yeah, so we have we have a property down in Catawba County, so it's North Charlotte. That we'll build 240 units on starting this summer, and then we have property in Camp Hill, another property in Camp Hill, Dillsburg area. That's 150 units that will break ground on probably in about 3 to 4 months. So there's 2 projects will be added to that. Then there'll be a project or 2 that'll fall off. So we maintain somewhere around 600 to 1,000 units under construction at one time.
And at that, like 90 mil a year, like how much could one expect if they're in your position to like take home?
So it's funny because like this is something that is that's unless you live through it. Like me and my brother Johnny take very humble salaries, like very, very humble. Like I live in a small house. I don't drive a Mercedes. I drive a truck. We dump everything back into the company. So if we made $5 million, like me and Johnny don't take any of that. It's right back into the company to buy more land, build more units. And so it's like, I laugh at people that are like, oh my gosh, Indigo popped up overnight. Like we've been working this for 14 years. You're just seeing the work after 14 years of work. But in the same sense of that, like we've have not done anything great for ourselves. And, in this whole entire time, we'd have the comfortable life. But our goal is to continue to grow the company. The thing is, if you want to keep good employees, they have to see growth. Good employees, great employees, they want to continue to grow. They want to make more money. They want to be behind, a vision. And so at any time you take your foot off the gas and you pull capital out of the company, it stunts your growth. Not to mention that, but with high interest rates, banks now need deposits. So the way they tie you to these large loans is they want liquidity accounts. And so, they're saying, hey, we'll give you this $40 million loan, but you got to put $5 million in a liquidity account for us. So basically it takes all the capital you have on the sidelines and ties it up for 4 to 5 years or, 3 to 4 years, depending on how long the duration of the project is. So it's not like, I would say outside of real estate, I think like you can get into some operating companies where you could really pull some cash off from, for personal use. But I think if you're going to be in real estate and you want to grow a real estate portfolio, unless you have a rich dad or a rich uncle, like, which we don't have either of those, it's, you're putting your capital back out that you make right back into the company again.
Yeah. So random question. Do any of your employees actually make more than you do?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say there's 3 employees minimum that make more than I make.
That's crazy.
So, it's
staying humble.
We could have. So when we sold Marietta, we made quite a bit of money, and we could have retired at 27 years old. I could have retired, and but that was never our vision for our life. And I know that I would, degress.
You'd be so.
Are we talking? Mentally. We're talking 8 figures.
Oh my gosh, yeah, way more than that.
More than that?
Yes.
Oh shoot.
So
what is Marietta?
Marietta is this 172 unit that we built.
Okay.
So we hit a lot of home runs in that project, and we were able to pull a lot of cash off it. And so we were able to retire. But we, if we made 10 million, we spent 12 million the next year on buying new property. So there wasn't a profit there. It was a loss at the end of the day. And so
you're never retiring.
No, I hope not, unless, God wants me to. I want to keep working. And so we doubled down on that. So, it's our growth strategy. It's our growth plan. And, we want the people that work around us to make more money. Like they want to buy beach houses. They want to buy cabins and mountains. They want their kids college.
Yeah. Just to see like the employees,
they're great. The people out there are absolutely amazing. Like you guys would love them. And we know they want to grow. And so we have to grow with them, the company wise. So it's always working.
That's amazing.
Now I want to talk about like stress management with all these companies. Like I'm sure you have a lot of stress or like just a lot of problems that arise. So like touch on that, like how you deal with stress.
So stress is real. I think that's why, the cliche thing in America is ownership. I want to own my own business. I want to do my own thing. I want to grow the mill, be a billionaire. But I think nobody thinks about like the physical toll that it takes on your body, on your mind doing that, right? Like it is a lot of stress. I think, I find a lot of confidence in my team that I have. So I think that's first and foremost. I think they're extremely talented and that they will take care of a lot of issues that arise. I think too, like to go back to maybe like a more biblical thing, like Chick-fil-A, the guy who started on, I said, if God's behind it, it ought to be big. Yeah. And so, and they say like, hell is meeting the person that, you should have been that you aren't. And I really do believe that. And so I think, God's given my brother Johnny and I an ability, and I feel like I want to grow that ability as much as I possibly can. Yeah. And I think it's allowed us to be able to serve others and help others. And so I think if you have like that servant mind to it, and two, like, you should measure how well you handle stress. Like if you start out building 2 houses and it's like, you can't eat, it's like you're losing weight. It's like, this is, you should adjust your life.
Start losing hair.
Yeah, start losing hair, right? Like you should adjust your life. Yeah. You shouldn't just go for a goal because, this is what you have to do. I think you should monitor how well you handle stress. I mean, nobody's going to handle perfect. There's always going to be stressful time, but overall, like, how well do you handle stress and handle conflict, with employees or owners or customers? So I think you should always be adjusting yourself to what your God-given ability is and pushing as much as it should be. But you guys listen to Steve Furtick at all?
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
So Steve Furtick's one of my favorite pastors, right? So like, would love to go down there. When I go down to the North Carolina project, I want to check it out, right?
Yeah.
But he said, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them, which is like, it's kind of like play on words, but it's pretty mind-boggling. Like, if you say this is your limit, like, you get to keep that limit.
Yeah.
But if you allow God to give you your limit, I think your limit will always be increased.
Exceed. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's a good saying that I think is pretty important that I think we really cling to and run with.
Something else that you kind of reminded me of was actually David Goggins.
Yeah.
Right. So
he's a freak.
Yeah.
He's a monster. So pretty much what you just said was his like hell per se.
Right.
Was he gets to the gates of heaven and God is there and he starts looking at David and he reads over the person that he should have been, right? What all the goals he should have accomplished. Like, you should have been a Navy SEAL. You should have whatever all he did, like 6,000 pull-ups in one day.
Crazy, yeah.
100 miles in 17 hours, like at 300-something pounds. He's going crazy.
Yeah.
But goes right along with it. It's like your potential is endless. It really just depends on your mindset.
100%. I think a lot of times people are, when you work as much as we work, I think a lot of times people are, their biggest thing is like, what about family, your kids? I have a very unique take on that. I have 3 kids. My brother's 4 kids. And I've studied this because it's something that I think is important, is that I've never seen the parent that stays home with their kids, home by 4:00 every night, takes Johnny to the park, takes him to all his basketball games. I've never seen that be a equivalent to a good kid ever in my lifetime. I've always seen parents that work very, very hard and grow businesses or work hard in whatever business they're in. I've a lot of times seen that equate to a really good kids.
That kind of goes along with what you were saying when your employees are replicating their leader. It's the same for the kids. To the parents.
Because the greatest thing you can give a kid is purpose.
Right.
And when you're sitting beside them every single day, talking to them and just like coddling them or whatnot, there's no purpose in that. When they see their dad or their mom chasing a purpose, a dream, and instill something inside of that kid that makes that kid want to do it and believe that they can do it. And I think if nothing else, you give a kid confidence and you show them that mom did this, dad did this, you can do it too. Like, there is no better thing. I mean, obviously I think the foundation should be God in any family. But I think apart from that, like, you should work 6 days a week. God didn't say it's an American holiday is Saturdays, right? Like, God never said in the Bible, hey, you take off Saturday and Sunday. That's an American holiday. Yeah. Like, you're supposed to work 6 days a week, have off on the Sabbath. Yeah. Right. So I think it's like, to me, like, you should be showing your kids, hey, we work 6 days a week and then we take off on Sundays. And so I think they appreciate the time more with you. I think if you're there every single night at 4 o'clock and put them to bed, I think they don't appreciate time with you. I think your kids should appreciate. And plus, like, the kids get tired of you at a certain point in time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get tired of their mom and dad. Like, it's good for a little bit of separation and anything. So
I forget what I was going to say.
I know it's a weird like conversation, but I think it's like huge in business world right now. I think a lot of people, Grant Cardone has a lot of good takes of his 2 daughters. I don't know if you've seen them too, but great kids, super, super smart and passionate and very well respectful. And it's like, that guy works nonstop. Yeah. Like, all that guy, and has his daughters right beside him. And it's like, but you see the person that's consistently taking off, going on vacations, like, the kids are horrible with it. I don't see any equivalent. I think it's the harder you work, the better your kids will be, as long as they see something that, and a lot of times you can't hide from a kid who you are. Right. Like, if you're a good person, your kid will probably be a good person. Yeah. If you're a good person in public and a bad person behind closed doors, like, they're probably going to be a bad person when they see that. So I think that's important too, to watch that.
Seen clips of Grant Cardone's daughter at like the age of like 13, 14. She's taking sales calls.
Brilliant, right?
Yeah.
I love watching her.
That's amazing.
She's brilliant.
So did you grow up as a Christian?
Yeah. So go Susquehanna Trail towards Harrisburg, maybe 2 miles. My grandpa founded a church called Bible Baptist. And so he, he found a church on 11th Avenue, which is this very small building about the size of this room. He built another church, and he was, again, thank God that I had, that kind of background, but he was, preaching on a Sunday and then laying block to build his church on a Monday. Wow. And so, he had that work ethic, that growth mind, and built it, and had a school there that my mom and my dad met at. Yeah. And, and continued to grow, and then eventually passed away, and they took it over, and it continues to grow. So, I was in church 4 days a week since I was a little kid, 4 times a week since I was a little kid. And, I think that's the foundation of our business too.
That's really good. And do you read at all?
I do.
Yeah. What's your top books?
Top book ever is Stephen Schwarzman, What It Takes. He's president of Blackstone, and he is who we want our company to be, a private equity real estate company. Yeah. So he has a great book. You guys should read it, Stephen Schwarzman. I enjoy reading his book. I just finished a book by Tim Grover that I think was really good. He did a great job of it. And I just finished Shoe Dog by Nike. Phil Knight, which is really good. Like his struggles and his, overcoming of obstacles is absolutely amazing. So Shoe Dog and Whatever It Takes, probably my top 2 books.
Check those out.
Great books.
So in regards to, I had this question off the top of my head. What
was it related to?
Oh, I got it. Okay. So we were talking about your construction company. You guys did $90 million last year?
With $90 million this year.
Oh, it was this year?
2024, yeah.
So what did you guys do last year?
Around 50 to 60 million last year.
So that's huge growth right there.
30% on
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So how are you continuing to sustain that? Is that just you continuing to hire more people? Is that how do you continue to grow without making your expenses even more, having this big overhead with the office, with all the people, so on and so forth?
So I think that is the game of business, right? How can you continue to get more out of your company without hiring people to grow, right? Yeah. So really it's taking really good people and expanding them to do more and more projects. I mean, we do have obviously hire more people as we continue to grow and do more projects. Yeah. But really we just have really good people that can handle wide bandwidths of work. They can handle, project managers handle 2 buildings. If we get 3, they can pick up that slack and handle 3. You don't have to hire somebody. They could just, roll it into what their workday looks like. So I think right now it's really just trying to figure out, I don't want to be on a hiring spree. I don't want to continue to hire a ton of people. I really want to continue to hire the right people and have a big bandwidth and a high competency load that can be able to take on more projects and not grow the staff exponentially according to the growth.
Yeah. And what would you say for 2024? What's your overall goals?
So 2024, our strategic plan is adding 1,000 units to our portfolio.
And what are you at right now?
Right now we're right around 800. So add, hopefully around 1,000. Yeah. Our strategic goal for each company is completely different. So if you said, property management, it's to grow 10% units. Okay. It's to increase maintenance by, I think, 35% and cut expenses by 10%. Okay. So 3 strategic top line goals. Each company is different, whether it's Regis Glen, it's memberships, cut expenses, whether it's box sale, it's just growing the venue by new events, by construction. I would say our most flatlining company is development. We have a ton of units in the pipeline. We're not out there purchasing new land. So we're just kind of just growing whatever we have right now. Okay. But I would think towards the end of 2024, we'll probably go into more of an acquisition mode of bringing in more projects for 2026 and 2027, because our projects last 2 years. So, we have projects that are leading into the end of 2025 right now. So at the end of this year, we'll start to pick up projects for that.
Okay. And question I have is, do you guys ever use partners on any of your
all the time?
I say that, syndicate and stuff.
So we just started our first fund. It's called Cascade Capital, and Cascade is a word. It's known as waterfall, which is a lot of your private equity deals are done through a waterfall effect or a promote effect. Yeah. And so we have 2 people on staff there: our chief investment officer, and a director of investments. And we're currently out raising money for Cascade Fund 1, which is a $25 million fund. Yeah. And in our past, our projects have yielded anywhere between a 20 to a 30% IRR and always a 2 multiple. Some of the projects are hitting 3 to 3.6 multiples. So we've been very, very diligent. But I would say one thing that's really important that I've seen is like a lot of people come out of college or out of school and it's like, I'm going to raise a fund and build and buy stuff. And so that's, we did it backwards in that. So we built the stuff on our own capital in the beginning, and took all the risk and like got all the bugs worked out. We feel like now we're at a spot where we can say, hey, look, here's all the projects we did, divested or held or refied. Here's how they turned out. And we have a track record now that we can show people like this is, who we are at Inchico, and this is our team that we have. And so we have absolutely amazing partners. Every single investor or partner we brought on to date has been tremendous. So finding the right partner is very, very important. But they've been extremely good. So we're blessed to have good partners and continue to bring more partners in. Some deals are better off syndicated or one-offs, and some, are better for a fund. And so diversity. And so we kind of do a little bit of both, but we're really, really strong right now in the world of raising our $25 million fund and putting it to work on multifamily up and on the East Coast.
Okay.
And is it just, so you're in PA, North Carolina? Are you
Maryland.
Maryland?
Yep.
And that's it then?
That's it. Those 3 states right now. So what we did is, and tell you a little secret that we do, and maybe this help you, is that the hardest thing to do is if you're building your own portfolio and you're building the multifamily is to build a different building every time. So we have 4 building types that we've built, over 20 buildings, and they fit inside of those 4 building types. So we know what our building, and the reason we do that is because I know how much framing costs, how much lumber costs, how much painting costs, how much flooring costs. I know all my numbers. So it's plug and play. The second thing I do is I build in areas that have the same demographics. So North Charlotte, Catawba County, mimics Central PA. It's the same age demographic, the same income demographic, the same job demographic, and the same rent demographic as far as how much they spend on rent. So I can literally take up a building and take it down there and charge the exact same rent price to the exact same people. So it's just repetition of what we do. And so we have a 3-story garden flats building that we built, 25 of them already, the same product. We have a 4-story that we built many, many times, and we plug and play those with the same demographics, and you're able to get scale and knowing what I can charge, what I can build for. And you have a very consistent return to your investors. And so we've been able to do that many, many times and continue to replicate that.
That's really smart.
Something I love about your website while I was just checking it out is if you scroll down, you have a list where you can pick pretty much, I believe it's almost every state with every county in the state, and it gives you all the analytics and demographics of every one of them.
That's right.
Like, we could have been using this for a long time.
Yeah, we love it.
I wish I had discovered that sooner. So do you have like a data analyst person on your team that goes and updates this 24/7?
Yeah, so it's probably pulled off of IDX, which is probably something like a CoStar, typically is what we're pulled off of. So we use CoStar. We have an analytics guy that's upstairs that's more of an analyst type of it. So he's going ahead of the development team and saying, hey, Catawba County, what's saturation? What can we build there? What is the rent velocity there? What's the need for there? Is there other players in the market that are trying to take market share? So we're consistently going around and making sure that we're building in the right spots that have, tremendous rent growth over the next, 5 to 10 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And are you guys just purchasing like on the MLS or,
Never purchased an MLS.
Okay.
Never one time. So our goal was to shake hands with farmers. And then build a relationship with landowners and farmers that own land at really good locations, and then help them to educate them to understand like what our process looks like, what our duration of time looks like, and then like why sell to us, what we do. You can sell to anybody, if you're have a good piece of property, a good location, but like we give back a lot to the community. We're a Christian-based company. So, hey, look, if you're gonna have 25 buyers and they're all around the same price, like if you want to, essentially help a company out that really works a lot with your values, we feel like we can be a good, steward of the money, that we make off of it. So I think that's really beneficial.
Okay.
So are you like cold calling these farmers or?
So the good thing is like, we don't have to buy many projects, right? Like we might buy 3 a year. Yeah. So like our land acquisition director, Joe, is, out with, we target areas that we think are going to be growth areas, and then we drive there and we're looking at like, hey, there's a 40 acre, and we have land glide, so we're able to see like property owners, right? So we're like 40 acres there, close to the highway. Is there public and sewer and water close by? Yes, it's right here. We look at manholes, look at water, where water is. Do they have EDUs left over? So can we build here and get EDUs?
And what's an EDU?
So EDU is basically like to tie into the sewer.
Okay.
So every time you build a unit, you have to pay for an EDU, a sewer tie-in. Okay. And so it doesn't have a sewer tie-in capacity, no capacity there. So there's so many pitfalls, but Joe's always checking off boxes, and then basically like, hey, it's a good area. And so you go knock on doors like, hey, Mary, like, are you willing to sell your farm? Do you want to sell your farm? What's your strategy? No, I'm a farmer forever. Okay, like, it's fine. Yeah. Go to the next person. What's their strategy? Well, looking to sell, but not for like 3 to 4 years. Perfect. I don't want to buy for 3 to 4 years. So, like, can we talk more about this? And so we're just kind of going down the road with meeting people and meeting farmers, and not farmers, landowners in general, and seeing how we can tie them for them. So
nice. So, random question. Answer's probably no, but let's just say, hypothetically, that Stephanie and myself were able to locate a piece of land that you guys would be interested in whenever it comes time for you to jump back into acquisitions. Yeah. And we wanted to partner on this deal as like actual equity partners, right? I'm not going to discuss percentages and all that. It doesn't matter. Is that an option?
Yeah. I love that.
Kind of like walk us through the development process.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we love partnerships. So, if you guys say, hey, look, here's land, we have some capital that we have to put towards the land. We like to be a 10% partner or a 50% partner or 10, whatever you guys want to be, right. Depending on the equity cap. We love that. We love I always say this, the best deals that will come to us won't be because we find them. They're because they found by other people and they're brought to us, right? Like, I don't have enough time in the day to go look at all the deals that are out there, but you find people like you guys that your uncle heard about some lady who just passed away and her son's selling a piece of property, right? Like, them are unicorns that it's very, very hard to find. But if you have the deal, you say, hey, I want to sell it to you, or I want to partner with you on it. Like, we love to be able to develop that relationship and take it down the road.
Do you guys?
There's a goal.
Yeah. Do you guys go in the city too, or just outskirts?
So, I haven't done much in the city. I used to own a large portfolio in the city. We sold that, mostly singles and duplexes, but we sold that. So most of our stuff is right around, suburbs of cities and places that are somewhat developer friendly. Sometimes we get into areas that aren't, but we try to be in developer friendly areas, that low tax base and high rent growth areas that are sought after.
Gotcha.
Now I want to talk about Inch & Co. So you guys bought that from your dad, right? So did he come up with the name?
No. So my dad was Inch's Landscaping, my dad was John's Landscaping. We started Inch's Landscaping 15 years ago now. And then as we started, this is the growth pattern of an entrepreneur. As we started acquiring companies, I wanted to be like, it's really our name in a bunch of companies, right? So it was like Inch & Co. And so I started that maybe 8 years ago now. Yeah. It was a marketing pivot. Okay. And so all our companies wanted to rebrand. And again, being young and maybe not thinking all the way through, I thought every company could be Inch & Co. Right. And it's just, I think it's best thing to let them have their own brand and really their own identity as a company, and not be under this big umbrella company that basically, people are still trying to figure out, what do you do best and what do you do most of.
Gotcha. So are you and your brothers 50-50 partners on everything?
Everything 50-50. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. We fight. I mean, we used to fight a lot more, but we definitely iron sharpens iron. Like, we have no problem getting in each other's face or having a heated debate over a topic. It used to be they used to shut the door because we were so loud. Yeah. But we've grown out of that a lot now, and we still get into debates, but it's very, very minor. We're going two separate ways at all times, so we don't cross each other a lot during the day, but we continue to push each other. There will be times where we feel like we're getting too soft, so we will jump into a disagreement and butt heads for a couple hours, and then go play golf after that.
Has it gone physical?
No. I mean, we were younger, like 12 years old. We would wrestle like any other brothers were, but no, it's never since that.
You guys aren't slamming
close. I mean, people. No, we're not like that. We're pretty low key now. We obviously have some heated debates, but it's always to find out who has a better idea. Right. So he might say we're building here, I might say we're not building here, and we'll argue about it for 3 hours straight. And bring up statistics and bring up, why, and basically whoever has the best facts wins.
I would love to just sit there and watch that.
So I would think, the people that have been with us for a very long time, like, they're sad that we don't do it anymore, because they used to love hearing it and likes to, hear so much people. Yes. It's just like, it's cool to be a part of the conversation. It's it's fun to hear Johnny's take on things and my take on things, and then my rebuttals of Johnny's take on things. And so it's just it's a good iron sharp with iron. Like, you need to have that person in your corner that you could go at hard with, push each other, and then be best friends at the end of the day, no matter what the ending is.
Right.
Now, do you have like any advice for any listeners, you know, that want to be a developer, that want to start a business, whatever the case may be, like any advice that you would tell them?
I think it's a little bit backwards. I think Grant Cardone will tell you find the property and the money will come behind it. Yeah. I don't agree with that. I think that you should be very, very good at learn how to underwrite deals and learn how to raise capital. And you should have a large portfolio of people before you ever do your first deal. You could say like, hey, here's what I'm targeting. Like, I'm going to buy 20 fourplexes, quadplexes, and here's my target price. Here's my target IRR. Here's my target multiple. Yeah. You know, would that be something you would invest in? Yeah, I would love to invest in that. Okay, Joe would love to invest in that, right? And I would get 40 of them lined up, right? Yeah. And then I would go out once I prove myself that I can be a good underwriter, and I would start attacking these deals knowing that I have the capital behind me, right? Because right now capital is king. Yeah. So, you know, there will be a time, probably, you know, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, that the deal's the king. Right. But today the capital's the king. So it's being able to migrate through that. But I would say if I'm a new developer or listener, I would learn how to underwrite extremely efficiently. And then I would learn how to raise capital extremely efficiently before I ever go and put a deal under contract.
Wow. Well, you know, we truly appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah. Whenever we get Grant Cardone on here, we'll definitely have to.
Yeah. I'd love to meet him. He's a juggernaut. So
if you guys want to connect with Jeff, we'll make sure to leave his information down below. But with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.